Good evening. You're watching the Choose Room podcast. I'm live with the caller from the man cave. Feeling a bit dishevelled after a week with the kids in Butlins, but you know I know how to slum it. I've got Davo with me, but in case anyone didn't believe me in the chat, we are waiting for JP. He is dealing with a rodent problem. Now I was hoping it was going to be a tarantula or something, but apparently it's a mouse. I'm also joined by Davo. How are you, Davo? You all right?
Yeah, very well actually. I'm very well. JP's really busy working out which Melbourne venue is hosting the final or the semi-finals of the Women's Cup, because they've done a great job of hosting it. They really have. It's great to see the Lionesses are in the final. Here he is. Hello there, mate. I'm just talking about you.
Yeah. Did you catch your mouse, JP?
I did. I've caught my mouse. I've had a series of live traps set up for about a week that it's just been avoiding, but finally I've got it. I feel like I've really accomplished something. There's a new style of play. We can see a direction for moving forward. It's excellent.
Are you talking about the mouse killing or the football?
Well, there's parallels that can be seen all across life. So.
Oh, hello. Someone's metaphorical at 6:06 on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, and I see, Dave, you've got the England flag there, flying proud. You must be happy that we're in a World Cup final and we smashed the Matildas. Why are they called Matildas? Please tell me, JP.
He doesn't know. But anyway, I think in terms of the semi-final, I honestly thought that Australia played the semi-final like a Poch era Tottenham, and whereas the Lionesses basically bossed it and controlled it, and were in control pretty much all the time. So it's great because everyone in my office didn't want England to win. And you know I love situations like that. So the flag was in the office for a couple of days. It's there now. And to tell me, JP, what was the last game in the tournament that Melbourne actually hosted? Was it one of the group games?
Melbourne hosted one game this tournament.
Wow.
It was the best game of the tournament.
Really?
Australia-Canada. Yep,
right.
I was there.
Right, yeah.
It's fantastic. No, look, well done to the Matildas. You know, that game, Australia versus England, was the single most watched television event in Australian history.
There you go.
More than a Neighbours finale.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah. More than Kylie and Jason getting married.
Something like that, yeah. I think it was something like 40% of Australians tuned in to watch the match, which is massive for a game that doesn't get any viewership over here. So for the women's game to have done what it's done has been huge in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So well done, Matildas. It's we'll leave it at that. You know,
my final question is that given that Ange is from Melbourne and you've obviously hoisted yourself on the Ange bus early doors, which we'll get into, and that Melbourne hold themselves out as the kind of the four founders of Australian football. Surely you must be disappointed at the lack of Melbourne venues and getting behind it. Hot on the heels of Melbourne cancelling the Commonwealth Games that they said they'd host.
Yeah. Well, Melbourne, I think Victoria can hold their hands up for that. Melbourne's was never in the running for the Commonwealth Games. It was disappointing, but I think you have to really blame that on the AFL, who hold the rights for most of the stadiums in Melbourne. So we could only get their 35,000 capacity at Amy Park for any of the games. So
now we've got the Aussie news flash out the way. Can we talk about Commonwealth?
Yes. Do you want to swap over to your usual panel? Because I'm feeling I should be here. You should be the other way. That's better.
Harry Kane scored. I've just seen the goal. I mean, I feel quite sick, so I'm not going to talk about it. Tonight we're going to be looking at the Man United game, obviously, predict the score, talk about the Trust demo, which I'm sure some of the people watching may be going to. A little bit of transfer watch as well. So, JP, firstly with you, Angie's first home game. It's clearly a momentous day for Australian sport, especially to cover up the frailty and dejection of the Matildas losing to England. But Angie's first game, biggest day in Australian football ever, an Australian manager in the Premier League, do you think, at home?
Yeah, if it wasn't for that semi-final, it would have been close to it. I mean, it being a home game is irrelevant. So theoretically, last match was the biggest game for Australian and men's football. I mean, Harry Kewell played in the Champions League final. So,
oh god,
not for very long. You went off.
Well, look, you've campaigned for this.
Minutes.
You've campaigned for this for a very, very long time, Ange. You know, sorry, Ange. I'm calling you Ange now, JP.
What?
You've campaigned for Ange to be the Tottenham manager for some time. If we lose, is it all on you?
I'm sure there'll be people that'll go that way. No, I've absolutely campaigned for Ange to be Tottenham manager for a long time, and I've also said all along it's probably going to take us 6 to 12 months to figure it out, and we're going to be pretty poor for the first few games. So
let's just get out of jail card.
Here we go.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be a what's the like real like condescending way that people are talking about Tottenham at the moment? That they're going to be a lot of fun. Tottenham are going to be a lot of fun. I don't want to be fun. I want to win. I want to enjoy watching football, but I want to win. We're not going to be fun. I can say we're going to be fun. You can't.
Well, I can actually. Tottenham versus Man United. Let's recount some statistics. We've won just one of our last 9 Premier League games, Davo, against Man United. So therefore, I mean, that being a Jose thrashing of his old team in the COVID era, does that mean you're not very confident going into this one?
I think it's might be quite a good time to play United because they do take a bit of a while to warm up every season, and I think that if we, and obviously we're going to be playing front foot football, and we get at them early doors, then I think there'll be chances galore. So I think it's not a bad time to play them. I've got a feeling the last time that we beat them at home was the last game at White Hart Lane. Have we beaten them in the new stadium?
No.
Yeah,
6-1 was away.
In fact, 6-1 was away.
Yeah, it was.
In fact, I've got to tell you this: there's only 2 teams that have got a perfect record, or yet to lose a Premier League match at New Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and that is Man United and Liverpool. So it doesn't bode well, JP.
Yeah, but none of those teams had Ange Postecoglou.
He's the default answer.
I'm back.
Everything. But seriously, are you worried about this game? I mean, it's going to be tasty, isn't it? I think the trouble is for me, we're playing a high line. We're not quite punching going forward yet. Clearly, from the Brent, the goals came from ultimately defenders. The front 3 looked a bit disjointed, and there was some nice play. We were on top, and we had great possession, good pass completion stats, all the stuff that we're looking for. There's some green shoots in there, but this game I feel is a bit too early for us, especially given the pace of Rashford on the break.
That's really my only concern. I'm pretty sure we'll match it with them for possession in midfield. It hasn't really clicked for us yet going forward. It usually takes an Ange team a month or so to get that sorted out, and then it's the defensive side of kind of learning their responsibilities there that takes a little bit longer. When it clicks, it's amazing, but it'll take time. But if we were in a position where going forward we'd figured that out, I'd say 5-4. We're going to do this, but we haven't figured that out, and Rashford on the break is really concerning, particularly watching how Brentford were able to get at us with their players. Rashford's rapid, and he can be a real problem down that left for them.
Yeah, well, there's not much of a battle for charisma on the bench, is there, Davo? You've got Eric Ten Hag, the dullest person in football, versus Big Ange. I'm sure that, we've got to win on that front.
Yeah, because obviously Coy's data Dan interviewed Eric Ten Hag a couple of years ago and decided that he wasn't charismatic enough to be the manager of Tottenham, and instead got in that 24-hour laugh along Nuno. So that was a good decision. And Ten Hag's charisma took him all the way to a League Cup and the Champions League qualification last year. So another
along with a couple of £100 million, it has to be said,
Well, Coy's data Dan made his decision, and but now we're in a new data world. We're in Australia. It's called data, We're doing everything by data from now on, or data, so that's very important. But Ange is the Australian. We're back where we need. We're kind of back where in the Martin Yeo era, really.
You do love that line. You've got two go-to lines. We're in the Martin Yole era, and this reminds me of the summer we sold Bale and got the Magnificent Seven in.
Yeah, because I've had to retire Nagelsmann's the German AVB, and James Ward-Prowse is Harry Winks with free kicks. So they've been dusted, they've been put away in the cabinet. So that's that one.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow, whenever the game is, front foot football. We just got to get at them, which we'll do. I think they're looking a bit rusty. See how we go.
Well, it's tomorrow night. Well, tomorrow evening, 5:30 p.m. I'll be at the stadium along with many of you. Let us know in the chat if you're going. We'll give you a shout out. JP, do you think your mate Ange will make many changes to the side? Obviously, it was a fairly predictable lineup away to Brentford. Do you think there'll be any changes to that?
I think there'll probably be one change, maybe two. He usually makes a change or two for each game. I think Skip will probably be the one to come out for either Lo Celso or Papsar. And then potentially a change up front. I'd like to see if Solomon or Perisic starts this one. I think maybe Solomon's more likely on the right for Decky.
Do you think so?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He needs someone who could go around the outside of a defender. I think that was one of our big problems in the last match, and Decky didn't do that at all. Son tried. Wasn't always successful in it, but he tried. So,
do you know the player who does that the best is Perisic?
Yeah, but I think he'll go for a little bit more pace to start the game. I don't think we'll see Perisic start many games.
What would you do, JP? Forget Ange for a minute. What would you do?
Well, for going back to the team that I said I'd select at the start of the year, then, which is the back line stays the same. The midfield, you swap Lo Celso for Skip, and then our front line becomes Perisic, Son, and Solomon.
So you do think that Perisic should be on the left?
I think he should be. I don't think he will be, but I think he should be. Yeah.
Okay. Davo, care to comment? Of course you do.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I would say that if I was going to go radical, I'd have Porro up top instead of Kulu.
Is this what you genuinely do rather than going radical?
I'm going radical, mate. I would have Porro up top on the right instead of Kulu. I think I wouldn't.
It's a good shout.
I wouldn't have completed the signing of Kulu. I think he's not very good. So I'd have Porro up top right. I'd still give Richie another go, and I'd have Son on the left. But Son, if Richie or Son's not working out, you stick on Perisic second half and move Son in the middle, or take off Son for Perisic. That's what I'd do.
And do you stick with Richarlison through the middle then?
I think you have to, Look, I'll put my hands up here. I'm not going to do the I told you so dance. I was very happy we bought him last summer. I mean, I do think that, Coy's data Dan taking advantage of Everton's financial situation by lumping a big 50 plus 10 isn't exactly taking advantage of anyone's situation. But I was very happy because we got someone decent off the bench or an option at the, this, that, and the other. But it's clear the narrative about Richie being able to play across the front three is nonsense. He does remind me of Pete Chris Armstrong, the way he gets caught offside a lot. But I think I'd like to see some game time given to Maddison threading the ball through to Richie and see where we go with that. Because he's got no other option.
Do you not think that Richarlison's being made a scapegoat after one game, JP? I mean, let me just tell you where I'm at with Richarlison. A lot of people are talking a lot of shit. That's what I personally think, because I say it like it is. He was banged out on the left, which, he played on the left for Everton quite a lot, but he's not going to score loads of goals from there. He was broken by Conte. He was in and out the team, had a very injury-interrupted season. He plays 9 for Brazil. He's had one game and people are saying he can't do this. And I appreciate that his goal record isn't massively prolific, but nor Son's, by the way, in the Premier League. I don't think that you can write him off after one game. And surely he's got to have 2, 3, 4, 5 games before you draw those conclusions. And it may well be that he doesn't turn out to be the player that we need in there. I get that. I totally get that. And I accept that. But it just doesn't sit well with me that everyone is like slagging him off. He's the worst signing ever. What a waste of money. All the rest of the crap you hear on Twitter and other social media platforms, but mainly Twitter.
X.
X. Yeah, I refuse to call it X. I don't get it. I don't get it. Tell me wrong.
If you're going to write Richie off after last season, you have to write off Basuma as well. But then we have one game and Basuma's the best midfielder in the Premier League and Richie needs to go. He had almost nothing to work with in the last game. We haven't figured out our kind of patterns of play, and Decky and Son were still coming too central, getting in his way. It wasn't working out. So I don't put that all on Richie. I think he has all of the attributes to work in an Ange system. We just need to figure out a way where the team is functioning in a way that's going to get him, to be at the end of the ball, not fighting, halfway between the goal and the halfway line. So
he ain't there to hold the ball up.
He's not.
He ain't there to hold the ball up. He's there to tap it in the net. Fundamental, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had that one opportunity to do it, and he messed it up. So he has to get more prolific with these shots, but he has everything else required to do it in an Ange system. And an Ange system, though Kyogo scored 28 goals or whatever it was last year for Celtic, doesn't really rely on the striker being the main goal scorer. It relies on the striker putting pressure on the centre backs to make space in behind for the eights to come in and score, really. So we'll wait and see if the team can figure out that system.
Yeah, but Emerson Royale's going to get 15 goals this season.
Apparently,
I'll tell you what, if he was in your dream team, you're loving life right now.
But the thing about him is that we're going to let in goals. I wouldn't have any Tottenham player in your fantasy league team at all.
I would actually want Maddison, 2 assists.
No, that's a good point. I mean, the other thing about Richie that always amuses me is everyone goes, but he's the Brazil number 9, like that. And
I didn't say it in a Mancunian accent, did I?
I didn't. It wasn't you. It wasn't aimed at you, to be honest.
No, but I literally just made that point, Dave. So it may as well have been.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is that you two aren't old enough. But in the 1982 Brazil World Cup team of Zico, Falcao, the greatest players who got knocked out by Italy and made me very upset. They had a number 9 up top called Serginho. Look him up today. He was an absolute lumbering lump and was rubbish. So it doesn't necessarily mean if you're the Brazil number 9, you're much cop all the time. Just saying. So I think that, do I ultimately think he's going to work out at Tottenham? I really don't think so. But I think we've got to give it time. As I said, and his injury record is really dodgy as well. I mean, he averages 1 in 3 at Everton, and at the end of the day, it's about the link up between Maddison and him, and a little bit of Lo Celso as well. I mean, going back to the midfield, are you saying you'd play a midfield, JP, of Lo Celso, Maddison, and Basuma?
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
That's punchy.
I'd love to see it. I've said that's my preferred midfield from the word go, because you've got the balance of a natural left footer in there, which Skip ain't.
And Lo Celso.
Sorry, are you saying drop Skip? Did you just say?
Yeah, I'll drop him.
Hang on. Can you say it again?
I don't
say
think
it just for my ears.
One more time. We want to click.
I don't think Ollie Skip is suited to that role. For me, he's Basuma rotation. That's what I think. I'd rather see Sarr in that role. And ideally Lo Celso. I think Lo Celso needs a chance under Ange. I think this system is made for him, to be honest. And I think we saw that a little bit in pre-season. He's natural left footer, which balances it perfectly. And also, he works bloody hard. Like, he works hard. He wins the ball back. He is not bad at all. And I think he can thrive in this system. I think if you had him and Maddison, there'd be goals coming from midfield.
Yeah, I think the concern is that Ange just sees him as the Maddison backup, at the moment. But until Bentancur's fit, I think we need him in the team to
But you see,
balance out our
Bentancur.
midfield.
But even with Bentancur, I'd sooner say Bentancur and Basuma are possibly fighting for the same spot, because Bentancur playing an 8, I'm not so sure. I'm genuinely not so sure. Whereas that's the Celso's natural game.
Yeah.
I think Bentancur as well, highly press resistant, which you need to be in that 6 role. Yeah, so between him and Basuma, have got the ability to carry that ball past the person and not lose it, not screw it up. And that's where, I love Ollie Skipp. I don't think he's mature enough to do that. I don't think he's got the skill set to do that. Great at breaking up play, but I don't think he can progress it like Basuma or Bentancur will when he comes back. So be interesting to see where they all
your heart to say all this about your beloved Ollie. I mean, how are you feeling about that?
I'm a realist, Davo. I'm a realist. He's a good squad player. He's very young. He will come good. But in this system, for me, he doesn't get in the side.
The Ollie Skipp's narrative arc at the moment is sounding very much like another former academy player who had a great game against a Spanish team once upon a time.
No. Well, there's a big difference there, isn't there? Because I've never backed Harry Winks at anything.
You haven't?
It'd be terrible.
Had a good game against Madrid that one time.
Did he, or did they just have a bad time?
No,
anyway,
they both had good games. What, against the midfielder Cruz and Modric? Yeah. All right.
Let's just move on. Let's get past it. It's old news. Yeah. Look, I think there are selection headaches there. I agree on the most part, but I think there's some debate as to what our front three looks like. But I think you've also got to give the bit for me is you've got to give players time for the system, haven't you? So you've got to give Decky some minutes in this system to get his mojo. And the same with Son. Dave shaking his head. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what.
I'd go back to it. If Decky doesn't work out on the right in the next 4 games, I would be, and we're not seeing Lo Celso at the 8. I would genuinely be looking to put Decky at the 8 instead of Skip.
Yeah, well, I think that Decky can absolutely play 8. I agree,
100%.
The only problem I've got with Decky in that position is you've got to trap back and work hard defensively.
I think he can.
I'm not sure about that, JP. No. I'm a big Decky fan, but I think that's the side of the game he'd struggle with. But I think he would be good from a progressive sense in the 8 role. Sure. Question is, the Man United team, new goalkeeper, Unana. What's his name? So he is. He's played against Spurs before, hasn't he? JP, remember?
There was a certain night in Amsterdam.
It was Davo. Do you remember that game very well?
I do. Yeah,
and he was terrible. So let's just hope.
You post it to him before the match.
Let's hope that turns out. Absolutely, Gov. I did at no point did I say sell Ollie Skipp. Let's be really clear on that. I think it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? Because did you watch his debut, JP? Onana.
I did not watch it, but I've heard lots about it.
No. All right, I'll go to Davo then because he watches everything. You see the Wolves penalty incident, Davo?
I can't work out if that is worse than the Pedro Mendes going over the line in 2005. I mean, it didn't take out one; it took out 2 players and nothing whatsoever. Which goes to show you, there's a lot of people who've got conspiracy theories about VAR and payoffs and this, that, and the other. But that was an awful decision. And didn't the manager of Wolves, he got booked for complaining, didn't he?
He did. Those officials have been suspended from Premier League games, I think, for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, someone's taken a bribe there, aren't they? I just can't quite believe how bad it was, to be honest.
Exactly.
All right. I can't believe this is in the run sheet, but we're going to go with this. And I'll have a word with the guy who wrote the run sheet later. But
you should.
Who's going to have a better season, JP? Man United or Spurs?
That's a good question. Whoever wrote the run sheet. It's a great question.
Last year that Man United were like winless in 3 or 4, weren't they? And then all of a sudden they clicked and they went on a run. What, they finished 3rd?
Yep.
Yeah.
It will probably see a similar thing from them this year. But I think the rest of the league is stronger. So whether they're able to go on as strong a run, I don't know. I think it'll take us longer to click. So I'm going to say Man United will finish higher this year. Next year, different story.
Davo?
Yeah, I think Man United will have a better season than us. I think they'll finish 3rd.
We'll define a better season, actually, because we'll have better vibes and we'll be a lot of fun.
Will be a lot of fun.
Right. So when we finish 9th and get knocked out by Fulham in the League Cup and
but
Port
Andrew
Vale
go
in
around
the FA
hugging
Cup.
everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll say
this
we
is
will
what
be
I'm
happier
loving.
with our season than they will.
This is what I'm loving at the moment about the fan base, right? We've covered off he's Brazil's number 9, right? So let's get on to the next one, all right? Everything in life, as we know, is a reaction to everything, what's gone on before.
I mean,
so
that's
the drudgery and the awfulness of Conte, everyone seems to forget that his first 6 months that he was with us, I thought we played good, entertaining, counter-attacking football. Sorry, we did. And then now...
Hang on. It was about 6 games we played good, entertaining, counter-attacking football. Most of the season was utter crap.
The 6 months.
First 6 months.
When he came in November, right? We got Villa, Newcastle, Everton, the Goons. We got a lot of goals. Entertaining. It was good. And then even made Matt Doherty play well for a bit. Right? Now, the last season was drudgery. I get all that. So we've got someone in now who, the avuncular Aussie. Good vibes with the avuncular Aussie. We'd love all that, right? But if it's going to turn into a little bit like Aussie's famous 5, we're going to win or lose 5-4, 4-3. By November, if we ain't doing well with our non-patient fan base, it'll get a bit nasty.
I don't know.
Coy's data, Dan will have to go back to his algorithms and work out what he's going to do next.
Well, I think the fire will be aimed at Levy, won't it? Ultimately,
it'll all go back to why did we sell our best player 2 days before the end of the before the season started. So I don't think it'll turn on Ange before it turns on Levy.
100%. Yeah. I think the difference, and I think that's a difference this time out, because I think there's a different narrative almost, Dave, with the moderate side section of the fan base where I don't think they'll support it, but they get the regime. 145 watching, 37 likes. John's informing me, so please do us a favour and smash the like button. The
moderates like me might finally be persuaded that Coy's data Dan has to go.
I like the fact you've given him a new nickname for the season. New season, new nickname. Coy's data Dan.
I like to think of Dan walking around Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and walking up to him like, spreadsheet. Coys, yes, Coys.
He just reminds you of that kid at school who caught the trend and the fashion. He comes into school one morning and goes, kids, I've just discovered hip hop from New York, like in 1995 or something like that. I think he's just like that, you know.
Rocks up in the players' training room in Crocs and goes,
Yeah. Brighton and Brentford are using these algorithms. We should do that as well. Brilliant.
I don't know who's put this on the run sheet, but it says here, who have the better owners, ENIC or Glazers? Who would write such dribble?
Who would write? What moderate would write such a thing?
What idiot would write such a thing? Idiot. JP, who's got better owners?
All right, let's run through it. So way I see it, ENIC, Man United and Tottenham work on different kind of revenue scales, or at least have done for the majority of our supporting lifetimes.
Yeah.
Man United, the Glazers have spent a lot of money, badly. Tottenham have spent a lot of money, badly. I think the difference you have to come back to is, whilst Daniel Levy doesn't show it, I think he does care in some level about the club. and he shows that because ENIC don't take money out of the club. The Glazers aggressively do take money out of the club. So I would not swap ENIC for the Glazers any day. So I think you have to say ENIC. That doesn't absolve them of their wrongs, but I wouldn't swap the two.
Well, I think that obviously, who would I prefer, the Glazers or ENIC? It's a tough choice, isn't it? I mean, obviously the Glazers actually borrowed the club's money to end up buying it in the first place, but to say that ENIC don't take any money out because through dividends, well, they kind of handsomely reward themselves in terms of the remuneration that the board awards themselves.
$3 million highest paid chairman in the club.
They're now Coy's data down for years was the highest paid chairman, and then Ed Woodward took over from him, and now he's back as the highest paid chairman. And where they don't pay dividends out, I'm still would be very interested to know how these group of companies buy all this property around the ground and developed it over the last 15 years and how that's actually funded, because we'll never know. But let's not get into that kind of thing. So I think the vote is ENIC. The vote is that JP would prefer the Glazers to ENIC. Caller
whoa. Other way around.
No, hang on. You prefer the Glazers. No, sorry. You prefer ENIC to the Glazers.
Yeah.
Caller definitely prefers the Glazers definitely prefers ENIC to the Glazers.
Dude, hang on, I can speak for myself, Davo. You haven't even asked me yet. You're there cracking on with your little rant about property again.
This is
property.
What I think, man.
Another classic Davo answer as well, where he's not going to answer the question. He's just going to tell you what everyone else answered.
Yeah.
He's saying that I don't answer a question and deflect.
Well,
things.
we know what Davo's answer is. He'd rather have the Glazers running the club, which is a pretty...
I would rather. I would like... We don't have enough ponytails in the boardroom for a start, so let's get that in. Get that.
Why would you prefer the Glazers, though? What do they do that you would prefer?
All right. Yeah. Can I just weigh in with my view? Because I've let both of you speak.
Go on.
And I've been listening from over at the bar, and I would like my two penneth. I view it from the basis that they're both shit owners. Is my view. I think the Glazers have fleeced money out of Man United. I think that ENIC are fleecing value out of Spurs. They might not take money out the club, but they're going to make an absolute killing when they do eventually on that beautiful day. Sell the club and we can all do a merry dance. I would rather have the Glazers on the basis that they've delivered trophies for Manchester United, and ENIC have delivered nothing but a shiny new stadium for us, and selling our best player is the icing on the cake. So don't
forget the training ground.
Stick that in your didgeridoo and smoke it, Davo. That's not the answer you're expecting.
That wasn't the answer I was expecting, because you love that debt facility so much.
No. I just try and view things with balance rather than having an agenda, which most people... Balance is called balance, Dave. You'll learn it one day. I've got to say, it's Hobson's choice, though. They're both crap owners. So, it's a strange question. But the bottom line is that... He's calling ENIC. Well, I've never been ENIC in, so.
No, I think
no,
kind of,
no, not at all.
There's been a shift.
No, there hasn't. I've always been exactly the same, which is along the lines of, I would love someone to come and buy the club. Do I think that 50 people on the high road holding a banner out insulting kids on Twitter is going to get the job done, or women on Twitter is going to get the job done? No. I think there needs to be a proper strategy if you want ENIC out, and you need, some intelligent people to do that. But I also believe that regardless of the campaign to get ENIC out of the club, it's not going to work, and they will absolutely sell the club when they're ready.
So basically, what we're saying to you, JP, is that everything that Ange does I'm hoping Ange is here for the next 5-10 years, bring us glory, and makes Tottenham the most well-liked club in Australia. That'd be fantastic, right? We know that. But that when it goes wrong, we're going to be we're going to be at
Well,
you for
yeah.
bants only. But you do know that should that glorious day arrive, that Enoch is Enoch goes and is bought by someone else. You know that the first misstep, it'll all be directed at me. You do know that.
I am aware,
and I'm prepared. I'm willing to take on that burden on my middle-aged shoulders. All right.
I've got 99 problems and Eric Dyer is one. Yeah,
correct.
I think the chances of like Jay-Z buying the club are similar to the chances of me and Scarlett Johansson getting it on. It's not going to happen. So I just think that they'll sell the club when they're ready. So this is all a little bit pie in the sky, but if in the hypothetical world, at least the Glazers have delivered some tin cups to.
If you took the Glazers and Enoch, and you said you had to pick one of them to run Blackburn, which one do you trust?
Neither.
Well, I wouldn't.
That's not the question, though, is it?
That's quite an esoteric question.
It's a weird question. Why? Why
strange question.
The point of my question is, I think if you were to give 90% of football clubs the option of which owner they'd prefer, 90% would go Enoch because it's a safer pair of hands for ensuring the security of their club. The Glazers' approach would destroy 90% of football clubs. It just so happens they were Man United, and you couldn't really fail.
Yeah, but that's because they were buying Man United.
I know that's the point. Is like it's Man United. It's one of the only clubs they couldn't.
I think you have to face
or destroy.
There are realities that people don't want to face. For example, the people that want Enoch out of the club, very few of them will face into the fact that Enoch have had a lot of successes in terms of raising the profile, the brand, and the revenue ultimately of Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. They have done a fantastic job in terms of elevating the club to a Champions League team, to revenue where they can compete better with players. But the problem is you don't see us competing better with players. So this
horrible football.
It's the scattergun recruitment approach that's really hamstrung them. And I do think it's the penny pinching and all of that stuff, you know. And that ultimately is the frustration. Look, if Enoch were willing to go and drop 80 to 100 million pounds on a player, maybe we could compete. But they won't. They'll always pick the 40 million pound bet. And that ultimately is why Tottenham will win nothing. Unless they luck into a team like Poch did and a manager at the right time, which
brings us to Ange Postecoglou.
Maybe is Ange Postecoglou. I like to believe it could be.
I think ultimately what Enoch's business model is that for Tottenham to qualify for the Champions League, and that's about it, right? That's all that they want because of the revenues and this, that, and the other. But the reality of the situation is you may get one day where the football club on that site is not the majority of the revenue coming through the door.
I don't think that matters as long as the revenue
one day.
Well,
that's what, as you remember the famous interview at the start of the last new era. You know, we're in a new era now. We're now in our latest new era. The last new era was when he said Paratici, when he was announcing Paratici, and he said every single penny of non-footballing revenue goes into the team.
Which is factually true. Into the club, actually. But
he said it into the team. He said it into the team, which is a bit odd thing to say because normally if your revenue comes in, don't you want to pay out the costs of getting in the revenue first? It's all profit, isn't it? So you couldn't even get that right. So, at the end of the day, we are where we are. The Glazers have got trophies and ponytails, and we have got a very follically challenged ownership at the club. So we need to sort that out. Sorry, JP.
Yeah. Who is follically challenged? That's a bit harsh on JP. Is it?
That's why I said sorry. I've been not very nice.
If you got me in the ownership of the club, though, mate, watch out. We'd be relegated. So
apparently I'm trolling the both of you by giving my opinion. Apparently that's called trolling.
Who says that?
I don't know. People.
Mr. Diver. Look, as I've said many times, Enoch have taken the club as far as they can. They need to sell. If we're going to win stuff, they need to sell. I don't think you can push them out. I think they'll sell when they're ready. But I think if we get the right owners, then, ultimately we'll win stuff potentially. But you've got to have the problem is there's not a lot of right owners around. So I'm willing to take that chance.
Well, it's Melinda Gates. She's got a lot of dosh. Let's get her in.
Gates.
Or the South Korean pension fund. Yeah, I mean, Son is going to have to play for us till
You'd be
40.
happy if the Saudis bought us, wouldn't you, Davo? No?
The Saudis, they can't buy us now. They've bought someone else.
Of course they can. Just a different Saudi.
What, like, you mean Todd Bowley? Yeah, the Saudis have got Chelsea and Newcastle.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Let's get back to the game. You love a
Shall we?
unique debate. Predictions then, JP. Let's go to you first. Angie's first home game. What do you reckon?
I'm going to be positive 3-2 win. I think I predicted that for the Brentford game as well.
I mean, I did, and I was almost right because I thought we should have won that game. To be fair, but which, by the way, what I would say about the Brentford game is like a lot of people are a bit pissed we didn't win. I thought we looked a lot better away at Brentford this season than we did last season, even with a new system that the players are still learning, etc., etc. So I was quite happy with the result. I think they only lost twice there last season, so it's not a bad place to get a point. Davo, your predictions, please.
Well, I was going to go 3-2, but he's got that. JP's got it now, so I'm going to go 3-3.
3-3. Hey, that's a lot of goals for Richarlison to score, isn't it?
A hat trick.
He's going to hit a hat trick. I just don't see us winning. I think we're going to lose 4-2, but I think it'll be fun.
Do you think the Stone Roses are going to come on at full time? I've seen this big old thing on Twitter about the trumpet players on it. Louis Armstrong's on at 2:45 or something.
Armstrong's on at 2:45.
And then the drummer's in, but he's under strict orders of when he can drum and what he can drum.
Yeah.
I
like it. I like a drummer.
You like drummers, do you?
I like a bit of drumming. I like a bit of trumpeting during the game. I think that's.
Do you?
Vuvuzela would be a better shout, in my opinion, but it'll be interesting to see what all that stuff does to the atmosphere. And in fairness, the club are working. I mean, this is all stuff that the fans have asked for, so it should be interesting to see how it goes. I see we've also got a nice tifo. Welcome to N17, JP, for your main man. How do you think? Do you think he's going to do the old fist, fist on the heart, and
his new one seems to be
maybe?
The old like the little closed hand clap that he just walks around with, and we'll get a few of them. He'll walk to 3 of the 4 corners and do that. The fourth is just as it's stretched too far, he'll just turn around and just do one of these ones as he walks away. Let's see that. I think he'll get a really positive welcome when he comes out, and should the team perform well, that should continue for the year.
We'll see.
If not, Fool's Gold is on at 90 minutes, and off we go.
Kerry King's using her member status to say, please discuss King Hoddle's point. Membership's available. They give you one of these lovely ones every
Is it that point?
month. I don't know, because the thing is, King Hoddle's made a few points. So, Kerry, would you like to clarify? Which?
When you tell us which one you want us to discuss. If it's King Hoddle saying what he had for his tea, we're happy to discuss it.
It's very blunt and to the point, wasn't it? Please discuss King Hoddle's point. She may as well have written your twat on the end of it.
I think it's probably the one just above.
We don't know that though, because
we don't know that for a fact.
Davo is passionately trying to avoid it being the one above Kerry's comment.
I don't know what you're talking about. It might have been King Hoddle's point about Traore, and because Kerry loves Traore.
Is he still a free agent?
6 finals and 14 semis. I presume. There we go. 21 months, reaching the semis and finals, and he gave me 50 characters.
Right.
Okay.
The one that says, here we go. Not point. Okay. Sorry.
Davo can handle this 100%.
Not pointless at all, mate. I don't know what it was. Okay. Not getting over the line is the fault of the players and the managers, not the owner or the chairman. And you can't reach 40. You can't have 14 semis if you have no ambition. So you want me to talk about having a semi on the Saturday morning? I'm more than happy to.
Jesus Christ, no one can know that.
So the point about that is that when we get to these semi-finals, which is always towards the latter end of the season, where the squad is tired and stretched because we bought Ryan Nelson and Louis Sahar in January, that's what you're going to get. So it's a good point. We haven't got over the line on a number of occasions, but I still think that everything is, of course, Daniel Levy and Enoch's fault, everything and anything. That's a joke, just to be clear. But it's a good point that's made. So, you can't blame it all on losing all those semis and finals on the owner. But when you do sack your trophy-winning manager 5 days before a League Cup final, and when your first decision when you take over is install a new manager 5 days before the semi-final against Arsenal at Old Trafford in 2001, that doesn't really give you a good start, does it?
Don't know. New manager bounce might have got you through that game, but I mean, if you want me to,
But with Ryan Mason,
I mean, like as a passionate fence sitter, let me give you my take on it. I think that Dave's point's pretty crap, to be honest. I don't think the players are any more exhausted at our team than they are at any other team. So that's a load of nonsense.
Also, most of our finals were League Cup finals, which is like mid-season.
Yeah. So
no, it wasn't. The more April.
Well, I mean, there was the Champions League, which was after the season had finished as well. But I think there's a bit of truth in it. There's a bit of truth in it that I just think you have to look at our record in the transfer market to know that we never make the right decision. And whose fault ultimately is that? Because a lot of it's around penny pinching, isn't it? You look at the likes of Jack Grealish. You look at the likes of I can't think of any.
Dybala, Moutinho.
I knew you'd help me out. You look at those players and you go, if we'd have just pushed an extra 5 million, an extra 10 million, if we'd not penny pinched, if we'd not done this, then we would stand more chance of winning trophies. And yes, we did get to 14 semis or whatever, but that's not the same as winning. There's no correlation. 4 teams get to a semi. It's not that big a deal, is it? You can get an easy run. You've also got some strange decision making from the managers in those cases as well. You know, Poch playing Son at left wing back springs instantly to mind. So there is some mitigation in there for Enoch. I absolutely agree, and I think ultimately when you look at the big picture, you know, the bit that really sticks in the throat really is when Pochettino almost had a championship winning side and we did nothing in the transfer market for 18 months. And no one can defend that. You know, we had Conte and he wanted certain players and we didn't get them in. So you can defend Enoch in many ways, as I've said, but ultimately, they're not giving the manager what he needs to get over the line. That's my view.
I think a lot of this conversation comes down to that point of like, it was the Pochettino era that set a lot of people off when they didn't back him. And try and build off the back of that. And then we've been on a merry-go-round since then. But if you also look at
the Pochettino era was the worst thing that happened in some ways for Enoch because it raised the expectations. And brought a load of new supporters into the club that had only seen really attractive football, winning football for the most part. And if you go back to the fan base 5 years before that, the expectations were a lot lower. Most people would be happy with Europa League, right?
Yeah.
But there's a whole wave of fans that are now like, we should be in the Champions League and we should be doing it. We should be going for the top players and all the rest of it. So I think that's where you've got a mix in the fan base.
Prior to those,
you know, and you can see if you want to class ambition as hiring the biggest managers, we've hired the biggest managers, but we haven't really given them the tools to do the job in all cases. And I think the problem is the longevity of the managers we've signed is very short-sighted. Conte, a win now manager. If you don't give him everything he wants in the first couple of windows, he is going to kick off, blame the club, and that's exactly what happened. You've got to throw the kitchen sink at it. That's the reality of it. And unfortunately, we went away. Like we did go some way. Spurs have got better in the market, and all these people saying the new stadium was supposed to be the thing that let us compete with the top trophies. The top teams. And it has to a point because we're now spending roughly £100 million a window. But it's no good if you're not making that extra 5 million or that extra 10 million. And it's the Moneyball model that kills us a little bit because we've got it wrong.
The other thing that kills you is like the benchmark for the successful teams has moved from 50 to 100 mil net spend to 300. Arsenal are doing absolute madness in the window, which no one seems to be talking about. The last 3 or 4 years, they've spent hundreds of millions each summer. Man City are going to buy a couple of 50 to 100 million pound players every year. United are going to do the same. Chelsea are doing a whole nother level. And at some point, Newcastle will get there as well. So like the ball has just moved from what would have been, putting us right at the top of spenders to now we're just doing what's expected, really.
Like I said, there's a lot of mitigating factors, but ultimately, I don't believe we operate on a self-sustaining model. And despite Dave's, belief that not every penny goes back into the club, there's no actual evidence of that. In the accounts, it shows that the money goes back in broadly in line. They're not creaming off millions to go and build properties or take profits or anything like that. But it's a simple fact. If you look at our cash flow, we've got about 150 million spare window and they're spending it. But I'd rather they spent it on 2 players to 3 players to improve the team rather than scattergunning it on 7, because that's the problem. We never make that step forward. And unfortunately, to compete with the top teams now, you need a billionaire who's going to put money in. And that's just reality. That is just reality. You've got Saudi backing Newcastle. They can spend what they like and they'll get around FFP. Man United's revenue is a couple of 100 million higher than us. They can spend pretty much 150 million pounds more than us per window, with summer window, which is massive. City, we all know they're dodgy as hell. They're spending an absolute fortune, right? If you look at Liverpool, they're in a similar place to us, but they make smarter recruitment decisions. And that's how it's got to be. If we're going to compete under ENIC, they've got to get every decision in the market right, and they just don't. And that is ultimately why I think we need new owners to bankroll us, basically, to win stuff. Unfortunately, as I said before, if we don't, we're reliant on a tactical mastermind and really great recruitment. And you can do it. Leicester did it. But they had really, really good recruitment and everyone else had a terrible year, and you just don't see that happening now.
They also got really lucky. They also got really lucky. Like, whenever you see these teams that they are great recruitment, blah, 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 Leicester got really lucky around the core of a squad that they brought in at one point in time. Yeah, they did their smarts and their data behind it, but there's a certain element of luck that when you're plucking players out of second division in France, that they're actually going to be able to come and translate into the Premier League. So we've seen what happened when using the same model but having a little less luck, they ended up going down. So, see what happens.
Look, I mean, there's a couple of points there. One is I think it's a generational thing, because a lot of people, if they started in the Sugar era, then obviously ENIC to them looked fantastic, because Sugar, he believed he rescued the club when it was going into insolvency. I still think the Midland Bank would have closed it down. And he made a lot of money out of Sky deal because he built all the satellite dishes that were stuck on everyone's houses, and that's what his interest was, right? And then if you started in the Sugar era, ENIC seemed to be really great for you. But as we were talking about, if you started supporting them with Poch and attractive football, this, that, and the other, it's all been a disappointment. And I think for ENIC, the challenge that they had was that Harry Redknapp before Poch far exceeded the expectation of what they thought was going to happen when they came in. I think it was in that Brave New World book for Poch where they said to him, when you join, if you get Champions League by the second season at the state new ground, then that's the aim. And that's when I reckon they were going to sell the club at that point. And so therefore that generational thing and that expectation. So my generation was starting off where we won 2 FA Cups and a UEFA Cup in 4 seasons, played amazing football, bought the top players in other English teams like Gaza, Waddle and this, that and the other. There wasn't quibbling around for money. We just went out and did the deal. And that's what I grew up with. And that's the expectation levels there. And I think in terms of kind of this whole backing by states and this, that, and the other, we've talked about it a little bit, is the model was Liverpool, where they got it right. We're sat here now where Liverpool are now, but the last 3 to 5 years, they've had an amazing manager come in who was a little bit of a punt because he finished the Dortmund season not very well. They've backed him. That summer they got Mane and Wijnaldum, and we got Jensen and Sissoko, and we were in the Champions League and they weren't. and then when we smashed them at Wembley, and then they went out and bought, they sold Coutinho and they bought in Alisson and Van der Vaart, whatever his name is. I always get his name wrong. That's the moment. So, but the issue is that the track record of appointing the right people and having the right infrastructure on the footballing side of things, he's got wrong every time, because he doesn't surround himself with people who will challenge him and be the experts of what they do, and he keeps making these shocking appointments. And Paratici was another one. People warned him that he was under investigation, and now shouldn't have gone anywhere near him.
Yeah, I think there's great merit in what ENIC have done and how they've built the club. But if they could just stay the hell away from football, we'd be in a much better position.
Yeah. Shall we move on? We've got to do some shout outs before we move on.
I know you'd like.
We've got to do some shout outs.
Go on then, Dave. Do your shout outs.
Well, first of all, shout out to Zach Gibbo's son. He's just had his ACL. He's just had his Bentancur's ACL, and he's recovering. So we wish him all the best. I think he may be the best child of a cheesehead contributor who's the best at football. He hasn't got a lot. He's got a bit of competition.
Hang on. My 2-year-old Flynn says hello.
Hi, Flynn. How you doing, Flynn?
Hello, Flynn. So get well to him, and we've got to do another shout out as well. I think we've got a competition.
Yes, Jamie won the competition, didn't he? He gave him a free ticket away to the Man United game this weekend. Stay tuned for more giveaways. Follow us on Twitter at Cheese Room Spurs. I think that's our Twitter at Cheese Room Podcast, something like that. Look it up. It's there. More giveaways coming, but Jamie is the lucky recipient. I've had a few too many beers now of the ticket for Manchester United versus Tottenham tomorrow. So well done, and look forward to seeing you there. Fan demo then. Let's talk about the fan demo. Davo, I take it you're behind this. The Trust's march to protest against ticket price rises.
Well, a great pod this week with Brendan, Tim Vickery, and Rachel from the Trust. So it's good to see that the Cheese Room is now officially getting behind the ENIC Out movement, and therefore there is the demo at the ground today, whenever it is. I think it's at the ticket shop. And it's in relation to the fact that the club have put the prices up for those who want to buy match day tickets, and the casual people. I say the word casual, but what I mean is those who don't have season
the non-season ticket holders.
Yeah,
Dave,
thank you. They're not casual people.
Those are One Hotspur members that go to lots and lots of games. In fact, when I was a One Hotspur member, I was picking tickets up for every game, and potentially I'd be priced out now. I'm a season ticket holder, but we know what's going to happen next season with the season ticket prices, don't we? They're going to go up similarly. What is it, 12% or something? I think it's an absolute disgrace, to be perfectly honest. And the fact that this is worth £2 million to the club when their revenue's 400 million is an absolute scandal, and they're selling their best player. It's not right, JP. It's not right.
It's not. I think we probably should just clarify that I don't think the Trust have come out as part of ENIC Out. So those are the opinions of Davo and not the Cheese Room.
I haven't. Have I twisted a narrative to suit my own
You've absolutely twisted a narrative, but I'm sure there's lots of people
we enjoy the support and the participation of the Trust on our program, and would not wish to put words in their mouths.
Correct. Yeah. Well done, JP.
Well, have I twisted a narrative to suit my own agenda?
No. Yeah. JP, you should be sitting in this chair, mate. There we go.
There you go.
Absolutely. No, give it back. I think that the Trust, are taking a line on this, and at 3:45 for 1 hour, they're going to be protesting around stopping ticket price raises. Frankly, it is a disgrace, and I think everyone should get absolutely behind that. Whatever side of the ENIC fence you're on, you should be on board. It's a disgrace that people are being priced out. Absolute disgrace.
I was only joking, Brendan. Just being slightly ironic.
Brendan gets his knickers in a knot easily. Come on, don't upset him.
It's just expressing a little opinion and being a little bit ironic. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's HG's birthday today. We should give him a shout out. Many happy returns, HG. It's not every year you turn 50. So look, I hope you're celebrating. I know you're celebrating with a lovely cake. So massive shout out, HG. And hope you've had a good one, mate. And I hope you've enjoyed Davo's ramblings, for the last hour. We're going to move on and talk about transfers. Who do you want to see us to sign then, Davo? I've heard that Brighton have slapped £120 million figure on Ferguson's head. Should we wish to sign him? What is that all about?
I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd have a chat with Brentford. I'd do the deal for Tony now. Structure the deal so that the first day that he can play again, he joins us. That's what you do. There's nothing. I can't see anywhere that says that you can't do a deal for Tony now. You do that. I'm not
sure. He's banned from all football activities, including transfers. So I'm not sure if you could. But if you could, I agree they should, because he's the closest thing to a like-for-like replacement for Kane you're going to get.
Are we trying to get a like-for-like replacement for Kane, though?
Well, no, he's not. I mean, I'm talking bollocks there, actually. He's not a like-for-like replacement at all, but he will replace Kane's goals. He won't replace his assists and all-round play. But he's a good goal scorer, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sold on him. I think even Brentford said that with Tony out of the team, it allows them to play less direct and a few less long balls. So I'm not sure that he's the type of striker that Ange is looking for. So I don't see that we'll do that. I wouldn't complain if we got him in. I think you'd make it work, but it will, despite him being unable to play for 4 months or something, it would still cost a lot of money to get him out of Brentford. So
yeah,
I can't.
I'll tell you what I'd do. I'll get in Tony. I'd get in Gift Orban.
Who you've watched so many times, Davo. I know
apparently,
at least 3 YouTube compilations.
Apparently, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on Ange Ball either, because I haven't lived in Tokyo, Brisbane, and I've been to Glasgow a couple of times in the late 80s. So apparently, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on Ange Ball. Therefore, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on the Ukraine war, because I've never been to the Ukraine and I've never been in a war. If we're going to take that logic to its
that is taking it to the extreme end of
the
spectrum.
Apparently, because apparently
about football players and you bring war into this.
No, apparently you can't express an opinion on something which is not your lived-in experience these days.
No, but you've watched the news. You've watched lots of footage of Ukraine. You've watched bugger all footage of the Gift. So,
well, hang on, but we're going back to the Ange Ball point. Is that I've read about Ange Ball, I've watched bits and bobs and this, that, and the other to get myself more informed. But as I said, I haven't lived in Tokyo, Brisbane, Melbourne, sadly, and Glasgow. I can't have an opinion on Ange Ball. So the point is that we need someone up. He's playing 3 up top. Here's common sense for you. You play 3 up top. You play 1 in the middle, who you kind of view as a central striker. They need to have the ability to score a goal. Quite important, right? So I don't think we need a like-for-like replacement for Kane. I get that. I think Maddison does the creative bit with a bit of Lo Celso. All good. But the actual banging the ball away, Gift Orban, Ferguson, Florin Balogun, from the Gooners, whatever. We actually just need a striker to stick the ball away. Richie, give him a chance with Maddison. But Richie's injury record's poor. And if he gets injured, who have you got as backup? Son in the middle? Well, really? I mean, when we shifted him in the middle in the Champions League run-up, he did well. How did I know about it? Because I watched the games. Okay, is that all right? But, I think Son's peaked. So I think you need a striker.
I don't think he's going to get any better than the season he won the Golden Boot. No.
You need a striker. We need to buy a striker. So therefore, who have we got? A Gift?
I think you can go a Gift, but I would be focusing our efforts on a winger, because we need someone who can go on the outside and take on a man. I think that's the biggest problem in the squad at the moment.
Porro.
Everyone's trying to get too narrow. Porro could be one, but we need another one. Solomon is one, but then you've got like Porro's not really a winger, so we're talking about having one. Well, Brian
Hill time.
When Brian Hill gets back from his injury, he's a real viable option for us. But I think we still need a real like top quality winger.
I mean, I think Kerry makes a good point here. What about Scarlett or Valise? I tell you what, it might be the romantic in me, but I'd love to see Scarlett given some game time because the way he took that ball away against, Shakhtar Donetsk.
Who was it against?
I was there, Dave. Yeah, against Shakhtar. He the way he took that ball away, the kid's got something. I tell you now, he's got something. And he's a big lad as well. He's not like he's certainly his frame, as the narrative with Hill likes to be. It wouldn't be an issue for him. So I think he would be. I think it would be nice to see him some minutes. Give him some minutes. But there we go.
We need a striker and a centre back. That's what we need.
I think we all know that, Dave. To be honest, I think we all agree on that. Outgoings. I've got a wonderful picture. I wish I could flash it up, but I'm sure you've seen it all on Twitter. Everyone who's watching this must have seen Toggy Ndebele's lineup photo for Spurs. Yes. And I say he's a lineup photo. He looks so unhappy. It might be because someone's taken his hat off him. I don't know, but he doesn't look happy to be there.
You see mug shots with more teeth than that photo.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now. It doesn't get any better. No way back for him, is there? No way back.
No, he's done.
Nah, he's finished.
I mean, who's in for him now? The opportunity for clubs for him to go to just gets smaller and smaller every year.
Galatasaray, but he doesn't want to go to Turkey.
Yeah.
So
are Galatasaray and Fenerbahce the only clubs interested in any of our players?
Maybe.
It used to be Norwich.
Yeah, it just feels like every time where Sanchez was one of them and Ndombele is one of them. I'm pretty sure I've seen Eric Dyer linked to them as well. Anyway.
Højbjerg has said that he would prefer to go to a team playing in the Champions League. Højbjerg.
Yeah.
Santa isn't real. You're not Harry Kane. Who do you think you are? But it looks like Atletico may still be interested in him. Would you see that Højbjerg goes and JP, would we need to sign a replacement for him?
Højbjerg can go. That's fine. I don't know. Like, there's only one club really in for him. They happen to be in the Champions League. We know of. That team happened to be in the Champions League by default of there being 3 or 4 decent teams in that league. I don't think we need a replacement for him for all the reasons that we spoke about before. I think when Bentancur comes back, he's a 6, and Skip is better suited to the 6 than the 8, and that's really what we're looking for. If he leaves and we want to bring in another midfielder, it would be for a creative midfielder. I think we've been talking, or I've mentioned in the chat recently, that Rio Hatate hasn't been starting for Celtic recently, and he's definitely an Ange number 8. So, watch that space if he leaves. But, I don't think we go out and buy another 6 if he leaves. I think we focus on wingers and centre-backs and potentially a striker.
Dave?
I mean, Højbjerg has expressed his opinion that he wants to play for a club that plays in the Champions League. And how many times does he play in the Champions League at Tottenham and Southampton? Precisely one season. So, I think that he needs to go to a club that reflects his undoubted talents. I mean, his art of looking very busy on a football pitch but not actually doing much would be appreciated somewhere else. So we've got Skip there. Papamar Sar's a better player, more of a ceiling than Højbjerg. So if we get about 30 million for him, and then we can reinvest that in either a centre-back or the striker. Because we've got to make ends meet. It's very important that as a club that we remain financially solvent in these times.
Absolutely. Well, there's loads of players that want to get out the club, that we want to get out of the club, but unfortunately, no takers for them. So, as I think Leon's in the chat tonight, shout out Mr. Isaac's channel member. Surprised no top clubs are in for our players. So many people told me how good they are. Clearly not been having conversations with me.
Leon speaks the truth.
You two have got some sort of little bromance going on.
Leon knows his music. He's cool. He knows his stuff, and he's realistic about where we are as a club. Whereas other people kind of like to drink the Kool-Aid all the time. Harry, that makes us negative to question and challenge as we go along. Harry, that makes you negative.
It's the way you do it sometimes, Dave-O. You can do it with class and style, or you can just troll.
I can only learn class and style from you, Caller, and I look forward to your continued lessons on the topic.
Now, Dave-O, you look like the kind of man who is probably in his 50s. Is that fair?
I'd say so. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and you go to the shop, you want a pair of trainers. You're not really looking for fashion. You're looking for practicality. So what do you go for? You go for Skechers, of course. So
are we on to our new feature, BKW?
Bitter Cane Watch.
Is it Bitter Cane Watch time?
Bitter Cane Watch. What do you make of the Skechers thing? I mean, I am going to talk about it quickly. I know people will want to move on from Cane, but Skechers, really? I mean, my dad wears Skechers. What's that all about?
Well, I wear Adidas. I'm an Adidas person. Always have been. Always
Classic.
will be. Any Gazelles, the lot. Right.
Gazelles. You do look like the kind of gazelle wearing 50-year-old.
Well, I wore them in the 90s, so yeah. The fact of the matter is that everyone is now he's gone. You see it on Twitter and this, that, and the other. Everyone's obsessed about him. The fact that he's there to say that he wanted to go somewhere to play in the Champions League and challenge for the Champions League is a slur and being rude about us. I mean, who cares, right? He should have left ages ago. He should never have signed a 6-year deal. He's the generational greatest, one of the greatest players the club's ever seen. Yeah. And now that he's gone, everyone's being snooty about him or completely overwrought in their grief that he's gone. Players come and go at our great club. So BKW, this week's feature, Bitter Cane Watch, Skechers. If Charlie's obviously negotiated the deal because he obviously didn't negotiate the transfer.
It's a terrible idea. I've got to be honest. It's a terrible idea. No one wears Skechers. Monday L's all the way for the win. If you know, you know. Right.
Well, JP's a creative in the industry of perhaps advertising. I'm guessing. And if you are going to, if you're a top player, you have a portfolio of brands that you associate yourself with. You kind of do about 3 to 4 to 5 brands that you're associated with, and you try and make sure that it's top quality. And I think his brand advisor of Sketchly or whatever it is, not a very good idea. You got to have decent brands to be associated with. Like for myself, Adidas and Ben Sherman.
Ben Sherman? Jesus Christ, man.
I'm a mod.
Yeah,
Harry Kane's advisors seem to be just advising the longest term deals possible. It's like he's
still got how long's Skechers still for?
Life.
What do you mean life?
I mean life. His career in football, he will wear Skechers boots. Not even making this stuff up. No, I'm serious.
It's like they're still concerned he's a one-season wonder, so they got to get him
Charlie did the Skechers deal, and someone proper did the proper deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charlie Kane's office is now full of Skechers shoes.
Oh my God.
I swear.
Rob's put this in the chat though as well, which is true. Nike were nothing in basketball before Jordan. So there is precedent, but there's a difference between Nike and Skechers, I think.
Yeah. No one's Harry Kane's not got the personality that Jordan had. Like no one. He's not the player Jordan was. I mean, come on. Jordan's like a Messi. Like if Messi went and signed Skechers, no, he wouldn't sign for Skechers because they're shit. Come on, get real.
Also, Nike at least had a brand in athletics with their running. Like Skechers have a brand in retirement villages.
100%.
Who's Sonny signed up with? You know, the old.
They have Jamie Redknapp as a brand ambassador.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But who's Sonny signed up with? You know, that stuff that Kate Moss used to wear. You know,
there you go. Patrick's on the bus.
Burberry.
Yeah, Sonny's Burberry.
Burberry to Skechers.
Yeah, that's
Seriously.
Sonny's Burberry and Kane is Skechers. So yeah.
It makes sense though, doesn't it? When you put it in that context, that definitely describes the two people.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
He's gone for practicality, and so he's gone to the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Adidas, Pretty Green, Ben Sherman, Fred
but
Perry.
I mean, these are football boots. Dave. These are football boots. These are football boots, right?
Yeah.
I play in Adidas Mondials. They are the best football. They're made with kangaroo leather, for God's sake. JP, kangaroo leather, mate.
Best boots I ever owned were the Nike Superligeiros.
Okay.
They were soft kangaroo leather, softest touch. Oh,
kangaroo leather is the win.
Kangaroo leather for the win all day. Yeah.
Yeah, kangaroo leather is amazing. You've got to, if you play football on the Ulls all the way, get a pair.
What do you wear when you play badminton? What's the trainers there?
Well, I've got a few pairs actually.
What's best for badminton when you're playing?
Do you have a pair of Skechers?
Do you want me to?
You have a pair of Skechers, don't you?
I don't. Not for I will get you. I can see it on my treadmill over there. I've got a couple of pairs of running shoes lined up. I'll bring them back here. By the way, Puma King. Shout out to Puma King. Back in the day, they were massive.
See,
and Predators.
Puma Kings,
again, Adidas Predators. I wore Predators. Give you the extra bit of bend on the ball. Anyway, let's talk about the weekend's football. We're
losing watches at a
predict
rapid
the score.
rate.
You can play along in the chat. We will obviously come to the Spurs game. First fixture. Give us your scores. Fulham Brentford. Davo.
2-1 Brentford.
Okay, JP.
1-1.
I'm gonna say Brentford going to win that 3-1. Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Dave.
Liverpool win 4-1.
4-1, JP.
Liverpool 2-0.
It's got to be Liverpool 3-0. Wolves versus Brighton.
Wolves are going down this season. Brighton 2-0.
No. Yep, JP.
Brighton 5-1.
Wow.
Ooh.
Did you actually watch Wolves play against Man United?
I did.
Because they lost Man United for large chunks of that game.
Mm.
I'm going to say it's going to be a draw. I think Wolves 2, Brighton 2. Spurs versus Man United we've done. But just to recap, I said we'd lose 4-2. Davo said...
Did I say 3-0?
3-0. JP said 3-2.
I think I picked the win. 3-2 win.
3.
Yeah, you picked the one I'd have gone for.
Yeah.
Gotta
be positive.
Oh, the big one. The big one. Man City versus the Geordie Saudi lot. Davo.
Mank Andy, dear Mank Andy versus Anton Deck. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2-1 to Newcastle because Pep was moaning about the fact they're playing so much football at the moment because their squad's very thin. So
okay, JP.
There we go.
Where is it?
City's ground, as paid for by the government.
1-0 City.
Ooh, no De Bruyne for 4 months.
Draw. Oh yeah, no De Bruyne. I change it then. 1-1.
Draw 2-2 for me. 2-2 at Desmond. Villa, the much fancied Villa, who got absolutely stuffed first day of the season, at home to Everton.
Who are also going down.
David?
2-0 Villa.
Okay.
Yeah,
JP?
I agree. 2-0 Villa.
Yeah. I'm going to say 2-1 just to be different, but I think Villa will have an easy win. West Ham versus Chelsea.
I think Poch will get a 2-1 there.
JP.
3-0 Chelsea, and the Moyes out conversation will begin and will not end until he leaves.
And I'm going to say 2-0 to West Ham, just because. Hobson's choice for those two. Hate them both. Palace versus the Goons, Davo.
2-0 to the Goons, who I think will win the league this season.
Oof, big claim. JP.
Yeah, 3-1 to the Goons.
They weren't that impressive in their first game. I'm going to say a 2-1 win.
It really hurts.
I know. And why have we got a bonus game in there? Chelsea versus Luton. When's that?
I've got a feeling that Luton. I'm not a bit confused about Luton. Have they actually started yet? Have they started at home? Are they playing at home?
Why are they playing Chelsea? Have you got these fixtures wrong?
No, I don't know what's happened there. I don't know how Chelsea Luton. When's Chelsea playing Luton? I think Luton have got a catch-up game. I don't know. Anyway,
Right,
it's round 2. What are they catching up on?
Well, I don't know. Luton playing Chelsea twice.
Right, let's
I'm trying to look it up.
Luton are playing Burnley, but the game's been postponed.
There you go. Thanks, JP. That's perfect. Right,
and I'm right there, aren't I?
Davo, I retract everything I said about your great run sheet. It's terrible. But slick, very slick. I'm going to throw up some questions from our audience. So if you've got questions for the panel, send them in now. I'm going to. I know a few of you have been putting things in, but I haven't captured them all. So even if you've made the point, just repeat it. If you want the panel to answer a question, I will read out the best ones. Starting with this one. Do you believe we have spent the Kane money, JP, and then pass it to Dave?
I think we spoke about this when Kane left. I think we've spent some of the Kane money, that being circa 30 million of it, based on our current net spend. So there's a little bit more to spend. I think we call it 60 million of Kane money left to spend, and then whatever from other sales still to come. But I don't think we'll spend all of that money this window. I think it's too late in the window to be trying to do that. So we might see some of it be spent in the January window, and some of it might even carry over into next year.
So I think net after Porro and Kulu, we've spent 80 this window. Is that right? Net. So if you compare that to other clubs who are in the top 10 global richest clubs in the world, that's pretty poor. So do I think we've spent all of the Kane money? Do I think we spent the Kane money? I definitely think we spent some of the Kane money, for sure. And I think, as I said, we need to get even if we sell Højbjerg, I don't think we need another midfielder, but I'd keep Lo Celso, but we need a centre back and a centre forward. Yes, we spent some of it. Is he coming back? God, blimey, like magic.
I was just getting my trainers, to be honest.
Do you believe we've spent the Kane money?
There's my Brooks.
Are you showing us your trainers?
They're Brooks. They're a nice trainer. They're a really nice trainer. Running trainers, actually.
We literally just lost 5 watches.
These are on cloud. They're Swiss engineered. Beautiful little runners.
Swiss engineered. Wow.
They're what Roger Federer wears, just for the record.
Right.
Might wear them. If you've got on cloud or Brooks trainers, let me know in the chat. Brooks, by the way, best running trainers you can buy.
Lucky we're not sponsored by Manscaped. You'd be showing us your Manscaped stuff.
We're not. Do you believe we've spent the Kane money? For me, yes and no. I think we've got money to spend, but I think they want the fact that we've got something like a 38-man squad is an issue. And I think we need to. I think they're looking to shift people out before they increase that number. But I think towards the end of the transfer window, even if they haven't got players out, they'll spend because they've got to get the targets in. But I think they're trying to get rid of the deadwood, to be honest, which is easier said than done. Kevin wants to know, White, Divine, Scarlet, keep or loan, Davo?
Loan all of them.
Okay, easy. JP?
Yeah, loan all of them. Keep Scarlet around for the first half of the season. Depending on what we do with the striker.
I think for me, White and Divine can go on loan. They're not going to get game time. Scarlet, as you say, depending on the striker, I'd keep him around. I think he's a useful player to keep in the squad, so I'd be tempted to keep him with us. King Collar wants to know, how long will Ange be with us and will he deliver us a trophy? Obviously, JP, you're going to take this on first.
Yeah, well, once he's delivered us the quadruple in 3 years' time, then he might retire from football. Look, he doesn't do more than 3 years at the club. He did, 4 with the national team. So I think I can't see him doing more than the contract that he's on. But if there was ever a period where he would extend that, I think it's with Tottenham just because the job's so big. So if he can get through this year, then I think we'll have him for 4 years. And yes, he will deliver us a trophy.
So I don't think there's
more
a domestic...
than one trophy.
I don't think there's a domestic cup final before November this season. So he won't win a trophy with Tottenham because I'm only joking, JP. I'm just joking. Apparently that's
more
trolling.
Patriotic, Davo.
No, I'm wearing all the hats. Listen, I'd love him to be a success. Obviously, we all want him to be a success. So, 3 to 4 years, pick up trophies, happy days. Do I think he's going to do it? He may end up like Yol and take us to a place of happiness, but not quite get us there. We'll see. But all this kind of narrative of we're now playing front for entertaining, everyone's happy. If we start shipping in goals left, right, and centre, people are going to get impatient.
Next season, he'll win us a trophy. This season's going to be work in progress. That's my favorite.
So what would you consider a good first season with Ange? What would you consider a good first season?
Anything that gets us Europe.
Conference?
Yeah, even conference. I don't particularly I don't fancy the conference, but we have to respect where we are right now. We're in rebuild, and
again,
maybe so, Dave. Maybe so. I would say the club's been in rebuild for the past 3 years, to be honest. But I don't think. I think the League Cup's City's Cup to lose because it generally is. I think the Premier League City's to lose, and I think the FA Cup, all the big teams are going to go for it. So I think, and let's be honest, we're nowhere near top 4 right now. Nowhere near.
So I'd consider a good season. One, obviously entertaining football and gives the youngsters a chance, which clearly he will be doing. 2, if we got into Europa, I'd be very happy with that. 3, going deep into a domestic cup competition. Given that we've got no Europe, I don't see any reason why we can't. And I'd say that's a good season.
So where do you think we're going to finish, Dave?
6.
Okay.
If that gets us Europa, 6. But you need to, I can't see that. I think
5th's going to get Champions League, probably.
Yeah. Well, if 7th gets us Europa, I'll take 7th. Yeah.
Next one then. Serena Wigman to replace Southgate. What do you reckon to that, Davo?
I think it's just nonsense question that was put to the head of the FA before the biggest game, one of the biggest game in our country's footballing history. Kind of, I know that it was I'm not having a go at Cantab, to be clear, but why can't we celebrate the success for what it is? That we start after, you look at Phil Neville was parachuted into running the Lionesses, and he can't coach. He's not very good as a coach anyway, and they put him in, and he was rubbish. So I think it's great that we've got that this weekend. Raises the profile of the game here as well, genuinely, and this is great. Women's football in Australia has really got a lot more popular over the last 5-10 years, like football has anywhere in this country since I first came here. So good luck to them on Sunday night. It'd be good.
JP?
I was too busy finding my charger to see the comment.
Well, you must know who Wigman is.
Oh yeah,
the out of the
manager of the women's team.
World Cup.
Yeah. Basically, I thought it was a bit interesting that we're talking about a replacement for someone who's in a job already. I don't think when
don't we do that?
Well, we did it for Conte, didn't we? But that was an error of inevitability, and I suppose Southgate has that too. Look, it's going to happen at some point. I think we've got a woman managing a professional team somewhere in England at the moment. So
no, it's just temporary. I think she's been moved on.
Okay. But look, it's inevitable at some point it'll happen. So if she gets the nod, great. I think as long as it goes to the person who's best suited for the job, and if she's that, fantastic. And if she wins this World Cup, She's had more success than any English manager in the last 4 decades. So,
well,
good
I
one
mean,
to
let's
her.
not get carried away. At the risk of sounding controversial, it's women's football, which I appreciate people will say I'm sexist for saying, but the level is absolutely nowhere near where the men's team is at. So
I think it's
a
different for
little-
management, though. I think like
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I
no,
think
I
it's
don't.
different for
I
management.
don't. No, I don't because I do and I don't. The players have got to respect the manager, and I don't see him having respect for her. I'm sorry, that's if that makes me sexist, then shoot me. But I just don't see that being the case.
I mean,
I
shooting you for
don't
being
see.
sexist is-
Yeah, look, I don't see why that you cannot have as part of your coaching staff, female coaches, because bringing in different perspectives and
Totally agree.
mindset,
Totally agree.
and then from there building it up from there. I mean, we know that there's not enough people from ethnic minority backgrounds as coaches. You look at the percentage of players in the game who are from African West Indies background and not in who are not in coaches. The percentage of players versus the percentage who are top managers, and the contrast is an absolute disgrace. I think you look at someone like Emma Hayes, who's done an amazing job at Chelsea. She's a die-in-the-blood, die-in-the-wall Tottenham fan through and through. But my last question to you, JP, is what time have you got the family round for the Barbie tonight to watch the third place playoff?
I forgot it was even tonight. I'm still
Funny that.
reeling. I'm still reeling from the loss on Wednesday. I've got a dinner tonight, so I'll have it on
Are
my
you not
phone.
watching it?
I'll be watching it, but I'll be rude at the dinner table and watching it on my phone. So I suppose I will have the family over.
Excellent. I'm backing Aussie in the third place playoff. Good luck.
Yeah, I
when you
hope
two
so.
have finished, got questions to get through. Dave, you said I think forward and centre back. I agreed. No right back. I'd say no right back. I think we've got you've got Porro and Emerson there, and I don't really see that changing. I think Emerson's good enough, to be honest. I think he's done all right. So yeah, I'm going to say no. What do you say?
Look, after his no look pass last season, he got booed off against Bournemouth. I mean, everyone goes on about the fact that he was bought for Conte. No, he wasn't. He was bought for Nuno. And as a right back, he's not actually very good at getting forward and crossing the ball. And I'll hold up my hands now because on the weekend, he did 2 or 3 great crosses, which I couldn't believe it. The goal he scored was like something you'd get off snooker shot. The way he placed it. It was a great goal, a fantastic goal. And I've got a lot of respect for him. We joke about he spent $500,000 on making himself a better right back and this, that, and the other. He got booed off against Bournemouth. He's been booed a lot. He's come back strong. And I've got a lot of respect for him for that. I don't rate Davinson Sanchez. I never have done. But, when we got smashed 6-1 against the Geordies, he still came on the pitch after being booed. And he showed up, fronted up, unlike our club captain, who's not been seen since in the Spurs shirt since that half time, right? So I think a forward the priorities is forward, centre back, and I think on the right back front it looks like Jed Spence is on his way wherever, and it's not worked out. Porro worries me as a right back, so potentially maybe because I play Porro up top.
I think right back is a really good place for us to waste some money this window on a bad panic buy out of the Championship. So I wouldn't be trying to do it. I'd be spending our time
incoming.
Yeah, it has Joe Roden written all over it. So I wouldn't be trying to fix that position now. Let's just focus on the areas where we've been focusing.
Wasn't Norman Stanley Fletcher and you two won't know this? Wasn't he in Ian during the Blockheads? You won't know it. Don't worry. Just a question.
Why ask the question?
I'm asking Norman, not to you two.
We've lost 7 people watching this.
We may have lost
Norman.
Norman.
Asked that question.
No idea.
There's no sacred cow either.
No idea. Well, look, it's great to have had you two Aussies. Well, one fake Aussie and one real Aussie. On the show tonight. We're going to wrap it there. It's going to be a great fixture tomorrow. I think we're going to be fun and entertaining. And, hopefully I'm completely wrong, but I think we will get beat in an entertaining fixture. JP's the optimist, thinks we're going to win, and Dave, I think, said a draw. So, take from that what you will, really. One of us has got to be right. So, look, JP, thanks for joining. Thanks for getting out of bed early.
Thanks for having me on. It's been good to kind of wake up again, chat Tottenham, and now I can go and live my life in anticipation of a game at 2 a.m.
Fantastic. But you were really happy about that 8 p.m. fixture.
I'm thrilled
so
about the 8
annoying.
p.m. fixture. It's such a good
So
time.
annoying.
Such a good
Time's that
time.
for you?
It's like 5 a.m.
Oh, that's not too bad for you.
It's a good one. I just get up
Well, hang on,
half
what
an hour
time-
earlier than I usually do.
What time's the no? Hang on. The United kickoff is what time? 5:30, isn't it?
That's 5:30. We're talking about
Yeah.
Fulham, is it?
I can't remember what game it is. Someone put it in
Oh.
the chat the other day. I was buzzing for it.
8 p.m. on a Monday night. Anyway, Davo, thanks for joining. Again, thanks for getting up so early for us.
Pleasure, and thanks for putting the Cheese Room logo just like the top of my little window there. That looks quite
Yeah.
cool. Thanks for
There
that.
you go.
It looks quite nice.
We'll be back Monday night. There'll be some match day footage, I'm sure. So if you're not already subscribed, get over there and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And in the meantime, all is left to say, come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.